Hello and welcome to the Business Base for Babes. And today I'm going to do a comparison between project management systems because I get this question a lot. So I wanted to do kind of an in-depth based on my experience and that I build out in these systems a lot. So a little bit about me and my background is I've been in operations consulting and hospitality, event logistics, and all of the techie side of business for over 17 years, from business consulting to scaling to event planning and beyond. So I've created this channel, these videos to help people, whether you are starting and you're just overwhelmed with everything that's happening in business and you need a little bit of guidance, or that you're ready to take things to the next level and kind of automate, optimize, and things like that and start to scale. So this is built on Miro. Today I'm not going to go into that one. This is one of my favorite systems, but these are the main 5, I would say. There are other project management systems out there such as Jira, Trello, things like that, but those are not the ones that I use. So this is kind of my honest take in comparison. And then I'm also going to share my screen a little bit and explain and show a little bit of the back end so you can see what it looks like. So we're going to start with Asana. Asana is one of my personal favorites, but actually, interestingly enough, as I was putting this together, ClickUp started to move up on my list. It used to be one of my least favorites or one of the ones that I didn't really pay much attention to, but as I started to look at functionalities, use cases, things like that, integrations, I'm starting to prefer ClickUp. So as you can see up here is the pricing. They're all about the same. Now, in terms of the comparison, what I did is I'm a bootstrapper at heart. And so all of the comparison and the use cases are based on the free plan, right? So if you're just one person up to 10 people, most can use this plan. Keep it free and not have to pay. That said, most of them go anywhere from completely free for lifetime all the way up to 24, 20, 15, 19 a month per seat, right? And so when they talk about seats, some say users, basically how many people can be working on that team or in that board. All of them do have enterprise. And so I have heard, I haven't actually used or built out an enterprise for someone yet, but enterprise sometimes can go up to, I've heard $2,000, $3,000 a month, depending on what you need, how many people you have on a team. So since it is for small companies, what I am doing this for the video, and so I wanted to just do the free version. Asana. So Asana has always been my personal favorite. The use case of Asana is large scale project management, complex projects, and documentation. Okay. The issue with Asana that I found is that the learning curve is very, very high. Okay, so this is Asana. This is the basic Asana. I just kind of threw some things in there so you could see. It has calendar integrations with your Google Calendar, but it also has a calendar itself. It has a dashboard that will tell you where you're at with everything, files that you can upload, an overview, and kind of your to-dos. So when I say it this way, it sounds super easy and you're like, sure, let's use Asana. But really, there's so many automations and things that are thrown at you that it becomes quite overwhelming for people. So I would say if you're going to go with Asana, you need to set up your own tutorials. Keep it really simple. So create like a base setup and then just have, you click here, you do this, and that's it. What I do like is that Asana integrates with Slack and Google. All of them integrate with Slack and Google, but Asana's integration with Slack is if your team is already on Slack, they're already understanding and work with it. And let's say I were to write you a note saying, add in new budget or modify budget. If I put it in the Asana Slack, it creates like a channel. It will automatically create a to-do for you here and assign it to you. And so I think that's really powerful. Helps you skip a couple of steps there. So we're just kind of go back and forth between. Airtable, I really like as well. I find that Airtable is really easy to get people onboarded. It's not, there we go. It's not too complex. It's like an Excel on steroids. instructions would be required on how to link tabs and things like that. But since it functions like an Excel, if you're creative and able in Excel or fluent in Excel, it's going to be really easy to switch over to this. So project management, CRM, and it has a data hub. And then as well, it integrates to Slack, to Google, and all of them integrate into Calendar. So what does native integrations mean? Native integration means it is an integration that's made by Asana or Airtable or Notion. Okay. So all of these other ones, you can use Zapier, you can use Make, you can use something else to integrate it, or you can do a backend API. Don't worry, you don't need to remember that. But basically, it's having two systems talk to each other. So when it's a native integration, it's usually free and it works so much better because the system itself, the developers that built the system itself built that integration, meaning that it's really seamless. You don't have to do anything else for Zapier. You have to pay, or you get a minimum amount of Zaps before you have to start paying. And so native integrations are the way to go. And so also with anything else that you're checking or systems that you're using, you want to always check the native integrations. In terms of adaptation, like I said, pretty simple. And here I will share with you what Airtable kind of looks like. So you can have it where they talk to each other. It's very similar, like I said, to Excel. The tabs are up here instead of down here. There's different views where you can have grid view, and then you can just kind of program what it says. Now, Notion, so I have to say, well, this is video. It's not sponsored by anyone. If you guys want to sponsor me, that's great. But also, I don't intend to bash any of these, but some of them I can't resist. So Notion is my least favorite, and Trello is like the very, very bottom of the chain. The reason why Trello is not in here, I'll make a small segue, is because Trello is the equivalent of digital Post-its. And so that's great, but in terms of project managing, whether you're in using it for events, using it for a project, for a build, for your internal systems, having a bunch of Post-its that are still not very organized other than by 3 criteria or categorizations is not going to be beneficial. So Notion has the benefit of it's very similar to Google Docs. It's really easy to take on, right? Like it's minimum amount of tutorials that you need to do, trainings, things like that. It's pretty intuitive. It's great for templates, documentations, right? So many times I've seen people on their own website, but also on things like Etsy, sell templates that are made in Notion. Anything with writing, that is the benefit. It is the one that it's more for documentation and written documentation. All of the other ones, Airtable, Monday, all of these other ones are more data based, so numerical data. So they're more like an Excel. So that is what makes Notion very different. And it also has a bunch of integrations that are great, such as Asana, Jira, Trello, ClickUp. So, but you see, that's like the main one that connects to other, because it's not really a project management system, but people are starting to use it as a project management system. It's more of a database, if we could give it a name. And so it, connects to Asana, to ClickUp, to others, to Figma, so that you could actually manage the information that's in Notion, but you have to have the other one set up as well. Monday.com. Monday is my least favorite. I mean, I apparently have a lot of least favorites. It's great for CRM usage, so for customer relationship management, for project management, and for inventory. So Monday, again, it looks kind of like an Excel. It's great for projects, but it's really task or goal-centric, right? Like project-centric. So like you're not going to be able to create a very complex, multi-dimensional project, let's say, like you could on Asana or somewhere else. If not, this is the project. These are kind of the tasks within the project that you get, and that's about it. There are forms, there are dashboards as well. And then the last one, And then it integrates into LinkedIn, Zoom, DocuSign, PandaDoc. So you're seeing that Monday and ClickUp are actually more B2B driven, right? Business to business, because none of the other ones have integrations into LinkedIn. Some have in Zoom, but DocuSign is all legal stuff. So you can see that here it is more driven towards business. And again, it's like an Excel on steroids, and tutorials are required or suggested. ClickUp, which is soon becoming my favorite, is for larger team project management, is what I would say. After checking all of the automations, integrations, right? It has Zendesk, Clockify, Zoom, Loom as well, Discord, Vimeo, Calendly. So these are a lot of time management softwares. So if you have a large team or a remote team and you're wanting to manage and see the flow of the team and what they're actually doing, ClickUp is a great option for that. And you can see activity, workload. These are things that Asana, Airtable, none of the other ones have, which make it really interesting. On top of the fact that you actually have a space for documentation as well. A lot of, for example, Airtable, Monday, you can add in and link documentation, but you can't, there isn't really space to just write a bunch of stuff. So ClickUp has that already integrated. It has a whiteboard option as well, which is really, really nice. And tutorial would be required as well, just to make sure that you're using it properly and that you're getting the information that you need. So data is our friend. Never forget that. But if you have a bunch of data and you don't know how to make sense of it, or you just have a bunch of data just because, it's not going to help you. If you know your numbers and you know the data that you need in order to make decisions, in order to optimize, that's where it becomes important. So making sure that you're setting all of these up. All of them have dashboard functionalities except for Notion. That in the dashboard, in the reporting, that you're using the data that you need to see, right? That is useful and not just going to make you bogged down because it's a bunch of numbers. Now, let's go to automations. So in the free version, Asana has no automations. It doesn't include automations. Of course, in paid, it includes automations, workflows. You can link it with your email, with texting, with a bunch of different things. What it does have is task automations, but that's naturally inside in one of the things of Asana. So if I were to create a to-do for myself, it will send me an email saying, hey, you need to do this. And so that automation is kind of native. And so they don't really count it as an automation, but a task reminder is already included in Asana. In Airtable, you can do 100 runs a month. So you see how this one also, ClickUp, has 100 actions per month. Zapier charges similar, right? So it's like each time that is run, the full automation, it's going to count as one, right? So just making sure that you're building out your workflow and automation in a way that's optimized. Notion doesn't have, it says it has automations, but it doesn't really have automations like to send emails, things like that. So they have a template library for automations that they kind of just started that you can look into. Monday has no automations included in their base plan, and ClickUp has 100 automations a month or actions per month. None of these 100 that are per month roll over, just so you guys know as well. Capacity. So this is all that you'll find on their site. I just kind of copied and pasted it so you guys can see. Really the biggest thing here is capacity you can have on Asana for free up until 15 people. It has two-factor authentication, and then it has, again, those free integrations, which is really important. Things that it doesn't have on the free are Kanban views, which a lot of people love. I don't necessarily love them, but to each their own, which I will show you what that looks like. Kanban is like this. Or, sorry, Gantt chart. Gantt chart is what I mean. And so it's just kind of with the timeline already there. And then you can kind of see the dependencies, right? So this needs to be finished in order for this one to finish, in order for this one to finish. And so it is kind of a visually appealing thing to do. That's not included in the free in Asana. And then again, automations aren't included either. In terms of Airtable, you have unlimited bases. You can have up to 5 people editing. Now, the biggest thing that you want to be careful here is you only have 1,200 records per base, right? So each line here is going to be a record. So here I have 3, here I have 3, here I have, and this is an example. This is a template that I made. So there's not a lot of data here. And so here I have 4. So making sure that your bases are not, each base can only have 1,200 records. So that can get used up really, really fast. And then 2 gigabytes of attachments. So that's not very much either. So if you're a big team, you just want to be careful with that. In terms of Notion, this is what they put. Now there's 2 caveats that they kind of like sneakily, I guess, don't tell you. So upload capacity. So this is Notion. It is really beautiful. You can link everything. It is a little bit more of a like do it yourself, right? You come in here and you can just add images, to-do list, videos, all of this. Now, in terms of videos and images, there is a max. So each one cannot be over 5 megabytes per photo or video. And then you're only allowed up to 1,000 blocks. So that can be restrictive, because if you have really heavy data or pictures or, build outs or whatever it is, that might be a little bit challenging for your team. Monday, you can have up to 3 boards, unlimited docs. You have access to like 20 templates, different column types, and then up to 2 members. So it's also a little restrictive, their free version. And then ClickUp is 100 MBs of storage, unlimited task, free member plan, unlimited. So that's really good. Whiteboards, documents. And so that's what I was talking about, being able to have a document that's already integrated in the system, which is really nice. Kanban, sprint management. So sprint management for them is like, the whole team is going to work on this and just kind of crank it out. So let's say you're in tech or you're writing a book or a coaching program. It's like we're all going to sprint, and it's hyper focused, and we're kind of measuring the tasks and working together collectively to reach this goal. And so it has that capacity within. Now, in terms of dashboards, all of them have dashboards that can be customized except for Notion. Notion, you have to build a dashboard. And so it is doable. You have to have a little bit more of tech fluidity, let's call it, in order to do that. But you can link pages, right, to kind of create your own dashboard and have your own setup. In terms of where did it go? Oh, there it is. What is that? So this is Asana's dashboard. You create it in, so Asana's, you can modify it and ClickUp, you create it, your own dashboard. In Airtable, they're called interfaces instead of dashboard. And as well, you just kind of create it with whatever data you want. And then within ClickUp, yes, you have your own. Oh, sorry, this is Monday. And then this is ClickUp. You can make your own dashboard as well. So all of them have dashboard capabilities except for Notion. And that's just kind of like customizing it with the information that you need, again, with that data. Now let's get to languages. Languages is important, and I put that there. I don't think in a lot of the comparatives there are a lot that talk about languages. Now, all of these companies are based in the US. So if you're outside of the US, you might need to use a VPN, or you might have limited capabilities on certain things. So we encounter that issue with CRMs, customer relationship managements, which I'll probably do a video on that later on. So just keep that in mind, that they're not really, even though they're really big and internationally they're known about and they've been heard and talked about, they're not really made to support a lot outside of the US right now. So Asana has up to 14 languages. These are all here. Monday also has about 14 languages that it supports. Airtable, which is very disappointing, I found this out the other day, only supports English. So the whole system is just going to be in English. So if you are an English speaker, that is fine. But if you're an English speaker and you're building for someone out in Spanish or German or things like that, You can change the names of things within Airtable. So I could change this name, this name, this name kind of thing. These, all of the information. But in order to navigate all of this, all of the sharing, the extensions, automations, interfaces, all of that is always going to be in English. There's no way to change that. And then in Notion, we have English, Korean, Japanese, German, and French. And then in ClickUp, we have, less than Asana and Monday. Similar to Notion, we have English, French, Spanish, Italian, German, and Brazilian Portuguese. Now, these are my personal notes on each and the way that it kind of works. So Asana is project centered. So you have all of these. You can have multiple projects. See here, I could just create a new project or a portfolio. And it's great for all projects. So whether it is event planning, whether it is a construction, whether it is a coaching program, whatever it is in your business, it's kind of like a one size fits all, which is really, really nice. And you can have multiple projects for free as well. Airtable is more data focused, meaning that it's like an Excel sheet, like I said before, on steroids. So as you see, all of them, you can put notes, but there's no real space to have just a document or a list on how to, right? So it's not the best for if you need to write out a lot of things. So like for marketing, if you need to do a lot of copy and things like that, you'll just have to attach it. It does have, you can attach links, you can have attachments. Now, again, remember that the weight of your attachments are going to make your plan either stay in free or you need to upgrade. So that's something to consider. Notion, again, so this is the only one that's more copy focused. I know I've kind of bashed on Notion a bit, but it's amazing for when you have a lot of copy, when you're building out like for a website, for a coaching course, right? You can input videos, you can have it all structured here. And then also with all of them, you can share it. And so people can share it and you can share it as an editor and have someone contribute with it and be able to edit. Commenter, or you can just share it where they can then copy the base and have that information. So if you're selling it as a template or something like that, Notion is amazing. Monday is task centered, right? And so, or project centered, more of like, this is the task or the project that we have, and these are the things that we need to do about them. And you can, but it's nice because you can like add different people and everything like that. So it's good for like breaking down, but in overarching, having a lot of moving pieces, I wouldn't really use Monday. And then ClickUp, it's very robust because it has that automation, it has the data, it has the Excel, it has the documentation. Now, one thing that I want to add, all of them, right, log into and sync with Google Docs, Google Drive, meaning Excels. The one thing is if you want to do budgeting, right? So my background is in operations, budgeting, event budgeting, that kind of things. Most of these, the formula is one size fits all, right? So here there is a budget, but it's a very restricted budget and formula that I can have. It's not like Excel. Like I can't create a separate formula in this cell and then change it here or do a simple add. So that's something just to keep in mind, that most of them don't have those capabilities, but they all integrate into Excel. And so you can always have your budget and then just kind of drop it in, and Notion included does that as well. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and that it made sense. If you have any other questions or consults about any other support systems or SaaSes, please let me know. I'm happy to answer them, and best of luck.